So once this goes through, we should be able to catch it. Oh, you're coming.
Too while I'm hanging.
And now it says published. So now, if we look here, what should happen is there it is.
Yeah.
So you physically need to hit that publish button each time.
There's my buddy.
Hey, Ray, you're working as a trainer this morning. Good morning.
version of a short story.
I think I read it.
You can hear it now with music and everything.
Are you reading it? Thank you. You have no limitations.
Good morning. Good morning. Please join. Anyway, please join me in lighting the chalice, the word during the order of service. We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning, in celebration of the life we share together.
Good morning, and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of the Low Country. There are quite a few announcements in your order of service, if you can take a look at those. But one of importance is the grounds cleanup crew that is going to meet tomorrow from 8 to 12. Anybody and everybody is invited to help with that. Bring your work gloves or rake or whatever tools you may have, and it looks like they are in need of a weed whacker. Also, I just wanted to welcome any new visitors for a first or second time. If you would like to stand, please, and give us your name, tell us where you're from, and that way we can get to know you a little better after the service. Anybody?
Hi, I'm Blake, second time, and I'm here with my mom, Sandra, and I'm visiting from New York.
Welcome.
Everything is the same.
I'm Blake's sister.
Still our mom.
Sandra's my mom. First time. It's a pleasure to meet everyone. And from New York, I live in Manhattan, and look forward to
In the apartment we grew up in.
Oh, that's awesome. Welcome.
My name is Courtney. This is my second time here, and I'm from Brooklyn, New York.
Yeah,
Welcome.
New York in the house.
Yeah.
I'm Nikki. I'm from Wisconsin. I live in Sun City. This is my first time. I'm here with my friend Pat. My son lives in New York.
And what was your first name again?
Janine.
Janine. Welcome. I just wanted to read. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm Kate Titus, and if it's not obvious, I'm Donna Titus.
Welcome. Anyone else? Okay. I just wanted to read some words from Reverend Kathy Starr.
Kim.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
We're the Kaufman family. It's our second time we work this beautiful Pittsburgh.
Oh, welcome. Shall I wait a minute? In the words of Reverend Kathy Starr, who coordinates the volunteer squads with the Side with Love Action Center, she says, "Welcome to this place of peace. May we find some moments of quiet contemplation. Welcome to this place of celebration. May our hearts soar with gratitude for the gift of life. Welcome to this place of sacred love. May we gently hold all that is broken here. Welcome to this place of inquiry. Here, may we be challenged to open our minds and hearts ever wider. Come into this place of community. May we, together, draw a circle of love and justice ever wider. Welcome to this sacred place. Come, let us worship, celebrate, grieve, and love." And now Reverend Charlie Tyler with our opening words.
Thank you, Kim. Good morning, everybody. My name is Charlie Tyler. For those of you that are guests, I'm the speaker today. I was coming in a little bit late, and I asked one of the greeters who was speaking and did I know him. So I want to lay a groundwork for you if I can. Some of you have in front of you a little bit of a pamphlet that I asked David to put together with a collection of 3 writings, poems from Naomi Nye. You should know that over the last few weeks I had been looking through some material that was important to me in some of my other roles in the community, and I came across a poem that I'd read of hers some time back, and I was brokenhearted with it again. It just really spoke to me. And I asked the internet what else did she have available, and so I found 2 other pieces, and they began to fit together. And what I want to try and do today is use Naomi Nye's writings to be able to draw us closer into an understanding of how it is we might be able to be a better, more... David has given me instructions, and I can't tell exactly...
Pull it closer. Yeah.
Pull it closer. All right. Can you all hear me? Okay. All right. Very good. And so I have run those off for you because I'm concerned that the copyright might be violated if I read them all, but I just refer them to you from time to time so you can take them home and use them in your own space. But I'm choosing to call those 3 poems the three sisters of Naomi Nye, using the same imagery that Robin Wall Kimmerer uses in her book Braiding Sweetgrass, when she refers to these three sisters, corn, beans, and squash. It's the three sisters of nutrition. They grow from each other, they're directly connected with each other. And so this morning, I hope to be able to take the three sisters of Naomi Nye and help it make sense to you in the serious journey to delight. Delight has been our theme this month, and it's an awkward word for us because delight is usually used for ice cream sandwiches and lollipops. And if there's anything that you use or not, are ice cream sandwiches and lollipops. We're much more serious about our life than that. So I wanted to try and take a heaviness and a more serious tone in using these particular pieces of writings from Naomi Nye to direct us into a deeper part of our world, so that when we show up in our world, we will show up as a delight, a serious and significant delight to the stranger and to those that we love. That's my call today. If you would please now take your hymnals in your hands. Turn with me, if you will, to hymn number 123. And may we sing together, Spirit of Life.
This is the time in our service where we share our joys and concerns, and in sharing our joys, we hope that they are amplified, and in sharing our concerns, we hope they are somewhat diminished. So if you have a joy and or a concern, please come forward, take a stone from the basket, give us your name, and briefly share with us your joy and or concern. And at this time, we ask that there are no political statements or announcements. And I would like to just start by saying our friend Diana Kravsik has been in the hospital this past week with an infection, and she just came home, and I'll just say for now. And so if anyone has any cards, sending text, or just sending some loving energy her way, that would be greatly appreciated. the child who gives without judgment. Give us a child's eyes that we may receive the beauty and freshness of this day like a sunrise. Give us a child's ears that we may hear the music of musical times. Give us a child's heart that we may be filled with wonder and delight. Give us a child's faith that we may be cured of our cynicism. Give us the spirit of a child who is not afraid to be, who is not afraid to love. And now we will hear Time for All Ages with Cheryl.
Hi, I'm sorry to say that I'm not Anne, especially because we have a beautiful family here, and I know that after this portion of the service, she would take the kids and they would have a great time. Thank you. And I will speak about delight, but I need to tell you that I left my notes at home. That is not delightful, but I've written down what I can remember. Now, if you happen to listen to Charlie's message on Wednesday, you may have heard the name Ross Gay, Rossgay, and he is a poet who has written a book of essays called The Book of Delights. And I thought this would be a good opportunity to talk about that book for a few minutes. And my notes are from 2 reviewers of that book. And I can't guarantee I've got the names right. Jennifer Yakovinsky and Naomi Kakoma, something like that. Ross Gay, at a certain point in time, he had a birthday coming. He was turning 42, had decided that he wanted to make a little change in his life. And actually, it might have been a big change and affected other changes. But this was in 2019, and he decided that he was going to spend that year, from birthday to birthday, excuse me, writing down every day the things that were delightful that came his way that day. So it was everyday things that he wrote about every day. And the essays are anything from 2 pages long to 10 pages long. So it's a book that you can put down and take up anytime. The thing that he wanted to change was, he said he wanted to be softer in a world which can sometimes harden us and give us sharp edges, because there's so much going on that you're all aware of that doesn't make us feel soft and vulnerable, doesn't give us a moment. So he did this for a year. Now, he is a poet and has published many books of poetry, but this was in essay form. Usually he worked on the computer, but he decided that for this process, he was going to use a pen and a notebook. I had a prop notebook to bring with me, but it's holding my notes on the kitchen table. So, the first thing he found delightful was the process of writing longhand, scratching things out, changing things, doing run-on sentences, not worrying about punctuation necessarily. He found that process both visceral and delightful. Now, he is also a gardener. Yay, if you're a gardener. That's the source of a lot of delight for me. But I'll tell you, and I can't quote him because I don't have it in front of me, the story of gardening that is in the book, and it's an essay called Tomato Something. He says, Tomato on Board, I think that's it. He carried a tomato seedling with him on his many travels. And he said, what you don't know when you carry a tomato seedling through an airport and onto a plane is that people will smile at you as though you're carrying a baby. Now, I would think that carrying a tomato seedling through the airport and onto a plane would make people definitely look at you. But I would think, look at you like you're crazy. He also had an experience of working on a community orchard. I don't know where this is, but the process took more than a year and a lot of hands. And when he was done and the process was over and the project was complete, he said, I remember clear as day walking out from that project, getting in my car with tears welling in my eyes. And he made the connection there from delight to being moved to gratitude. And I think it's interesting that we have this topic of delight, but that often in the past we have talked about gratitude. So I'm going to share a delight with you. You all know, or many of you know, how I feel about toads. Toads. It's a big thing for me. And gardening is also a big thing for me. And so this particular time I was shoveling dirt because I was in the process of dividing clumps of daffodils. They weren't blooming anymore, and I figured they needed a change of venue. And so I was digging and separating bulbs and feeling happy. It was a gorgeous day. And then with the next shovelful, I threw the dirt, and all of a sudden there was this toad, at least as big as my fist, maybe George's fist. And he was blinking like I had awoken him from a nap, and the sun was bothering his eyes. And I said, hello, which I normally do. But at the moment, I was so glad that I had unearthed him. It's been a while since I'd seen a toad. And I was so grateful that my shovel had come down so close to him and not harmed him. I thought, oh, half a toad is a problem. So I felt that same gratitude. And I wanted to share it immediately with my husband, George. Now, this is not a big moment for George. I don't think he feels the same way about toads as I feel. But a delight led to gratitude led to me wanting to share this. And that's how Joys and Concerns works. I think that the fishing story was delightful, and I think that our life holds many moments, many everyday moments that we could find delight if we were looking for it. So I'm issuing a challenge, an informal challenge. There will be no reporting in on this unless you wish to. That we could find delight every day, and that delight helps us bear the bad things that we have to deal with in life. You change your attitude, you change your awareness. And it's like if you own a red car, all of a sudden you see red cars everywhere. Whereas before you thought, aha, I'm going to buy a red car because all I see is black and white and gray. All of a sudden you start seeing red cars. And if you're looking for delight, you will find it, or it will find you. So, if any of you care to take up the challenge of writing down a delight list, call it a gratitude list. It works if you work it. So work it. You're worth it. Have a delightful day.
This is the portion that we share from abundance, and that's exactly what it says in your program. It says sharing from our abundance. Okay. Well, first of all, I want to talk about abundance. Two handsome gentlemen came up to me this morning and gave me a hug. I think that's abundance. I'm just throwing that in. Okay, I'm not as charitable as I thought I was, because I've had this cereal, in my house for a week or two. And my problem last Thursday was that I was hungry, so I ate it. So there goes my charity. So of course I'm replacing it. So that's just to bring up a point, how important it is that we bring in things for the Sandalwood Food Pantry. Okay, these people are very hungry. They need food with government regulations, so who knows going where. So they look for food pantries all over the country. And we've been giving to Sandalwood Food Pantry for quite a while. So please do your part, okay? And when you come to service, please drop off any food as you enter. I also want to take a minute to welcome our new family. And I didn't get your name. Okay. Anyway, welcome. Welcome you. Welcome you and your kids. Okay. Now is a part we have to share not only for the Sandalwood Food Pantry, we share for our own community. Okay? We need to keep this community going, and it just doesn't live on air. Okay? So we need to contribute, even though you paid your dues, and even though you contributed here and there. Please contribute as the baskets go, because it's very, very important that we keep everything that we have here so vital. I will pass the basket, or I will give it to people to pass the basket. Thank you. Is there a basket?
Right behind you.
this wasn't calorie.
Pictures? That's awesome.
Thank you all for your generosity, and I'm sorry I never remember this on time, but first-time visitors do not need to leave anything because your presence is a gift to us, but I'll remember next time. Okay, thank you.
So that was Irene's kind way of saying that if you're a first-time visitor and you have put some money in the plate, we'll give it back later. If you'll see Irene, she'll make arrangements. So the reading today, 664, Give Us the Spirit of the Child, reminded me of an event that took place this past week. Some of you know that I had waves of grandchildren coming all week. 3 of them came down from last Saturday to Tuesday afternoon. The next wave came in on Wednesday, and I have been, the fact that I can complete a sentence right now is something of a miracle. But I wanted to tell you a story about mystery in the child. So a box came to me. It's a wooden box about like this. It has a kind of a concave shape to it. And I have turned it into the magic Grandpa Charlie box. So that whenever the children are there, the box does this amazing thing in the morning. It has stuff in it that wasn't there before. And so the children have learned to go looking in the mornings to see what the magic box has produced. The children are of different understandings of the world. One of them in particular was the youngest. And the night before last, when we went to bed, he had left the box top open. I had forgotten to put anything in it. And when he got up first, he went to the box and he began to blame himself because he had left the box open and that the mystery did not happen. You know, there's a certain power in that story. I'm not sure what to do with that, but I wanted to share it with you because there's a mystery. And when you have children that still believe in magic, be very, very careful around them. They need to be protected. And you know what? You guys believe in magic too, right? So that's just an opening story for the spirit of the child in our world today. Naomi Nye. Naomi Nye is a poet, writer. She was born in 1952. Her father was Pakistani, her mother is American, and she began writing at age 6. She now has 30 volumes of poetry. She, by her own words, considers herself a wandering poet, and she's been inspired by her childhood memories and her travel. As we've said before, the theme is delight. And delight is usually that word that's used, and I want to thank Cheryl for her message because that really takes the seriousness of what delight can be and the kind of rigor that's necessary in our world to really experience delight on a regular basis, and I thank her for that. But Ms. Nye offers a path to serious delight if we're willing to take it and do the hard work for it. And these 3 sisters, as I've suggested before, I'm calling them kindness, compassion, and happiness. Those 3 form that thing that I believe is most significant in our world about how we might be able to take delight to a serious basis. So let's start with the first sister, happiness. That's in front of you if you'd like to refer to it. Please note that I'm not quoting it. No copyrights are being violated at this particular time. So I just want to draw your attention to the fact of the way in which Naomi Nye handles happiness, and she takes it to a different level. Other words are a part of this journey. Words like joy and goodness and peace and gentleness, those kinds of things, love as well. All of those are woven into this journey. And there is something, though, about the word delight that contains within it an unexpected tone, an unexpected thing. When delight shows up, it delights you, and it often catches you off guard. And that's one of the things that I found about the writings of Naomi Nye and the way that she began to unpack things. Look, if you will, please, a few paragraphs down. And she writes this. She says, everything has a life of its own. It, too, could wake up filled with possibilities of coffee cake and ripe peaches, and love even the floor which needs to be swept, the soiled linens and scratched records. What she's beginning to do is unpack the largeness, the hugeness of where happiness can be. And she even goes on to say there is no place large enough to contain so much happiness. In other words, however large you are, your spirit, your soul, those things that are within you, it's not so big that it cannot contain more happiness. And you may find it in the smallest things. Happiness floats, she writes. It doesn't need you to hold it down. It doesn't need anything. Happiness lands on the roof of the house next door, singing, and then disappears when it wants to. I have a number of bird feeders in my front yard and backyard, and I know what that looks like. They come in, and they empty the feeders in about 2 or 3 days, and they sit there, and I just enjoy them, and then they leave. And I take the pleasure that comes from that. Many of you do the same thing in your own lives. There is this infiniteness to the place that happens where happiness can be held and holds in your life. The beginning place to becoming a delight is here in happiness. That's the start. That's the foundation, if you will. That's the core that begins to build that thing that is most significant in our life. Happiness can come from seeing the possibilities of everything. And so Naomi begins to talk to us about the first sister to serious delight. And the second is kindness. This is a poem that I have found in past years, and I'm particularly moved by it. It's because this begins to take delight to a serious level. She writes, for all intents and purposes, that loss is that foundation upon which kindness is built. The first paragraph or so. Before you know what kindness really is, you must lose things. Feel the future dissolve in a moment like salt in a weakened broth. What you held in your hand, what you counted and carefully saved, all this must go so that you can know how desolate the landscape can be between the regions of kindness. Not all of you know that I also serve this community as a hospice chaplain. And so these words are very powerful to me because I stand in front of them every day. I work with these and talk with these and share these thoughts with people every day. And as I am in their presence, I see their struggle and their journey, and it's long and it's hard. But Nye's words here of knowing the depth of kindness that can come from the loss of things, having your future dissolve in front of you like salt in a weakened broth, is a powerful image to take you to kindness. Most of us don't think of this kind of tragedy, this kind of grief and sorrow, of producing that thing which is positive, like a kindness in your life, where you learn the places in between. But as she continues to unpack kindness, she also asks us to think about those who have lost. In other words, to begin the process of empathizing, not sympathizing, but feeling that loss too. The next paragraph down, she writes, before you learn the tender gravity of kindness, you must travel where the Indian in a white poncho lies dead by the side of the road. Cheerful thought on your way to kindness, is it not? But yet this is the same thing that we ask ourselves, to be able to dig deep inside our own sympathy, our own empathy, to be able to say to that sorrow, to that loss, whatever it may be, that could be me. That will be me. In one way, shape, or other, that could be me, and it will be me. And so that's a part of that tender gravity of kindness that Naomi Nye begins to talk about. This could be you, she writes. How he too was someone. How you too are someone. There is beside you a someone. There is behind you and in front of you a someone. And we are all those someones together We're all a part of that together. When I stand in line at Publix or Kroger or whatever the place is, I'm trying to be as conscious as I can to the fact that I'm in the presence of a someone. I don't know what their journey is, they don't know mine. But if I am aware of who they are, then the odds are, the chances are, that something delightful may come from me. I don't know who put this up here, but this is a Snickers bar that someone has left for me. It's my breakfast. I'll take it home. Whoever gave that, thank you. Some of you don't know that one of the things I do on a random basis to try and offer kindness is I will often purchase a Snickers bar for the cashier who just rang me out. I get all manner of responses to that. But when I'm able to do that, I'm able to see delight unfold in front of me and to experience it myself, and it delights me when I am able to offer that simple, random delight. To be able to make something make sense, this comes from the kindness, this comes from the sorrow and the grief that I work with and live with so much and try and offer to someone else. The last paragraph, or one of the last paragraphs, she writes this. She says, before you know kindness as the deepest thing inside, you must know sorrow as the other deepest thing. Then it is only kindness that makes sense anymore, only kindness that ties your shoes and sends you out into the day to gaze at bread. It is only kindness that raises its head from the crowd of the world to say, it is I you have been looking for, and then goes with you everywhere, like a friend. Yes, that's what you've been looking for. That's what we want to participate in. There is that kindness that comes from that sorrow that's deep inside your loss. Some of you are experiencing that loss now. Some of you have experienced it in the past. Do not forget it and go back to it. And it's not just the sorrow of the loss of a person or a relationship. It can also be that kind of loss that comes with the loss of your health, the loss of your position, the loss of your income. It can come with all manner of losses, and all of them take you down to that same place. Don't leave them there. Bring them with you. And find the kindness that will take you to different places in your world. To take that kind of happiness and kindness that begins to build a foundation for offering delight in a serious way to your world. The third sister, it's titled Shoulders. I am retitling it Invested Compassion. She writes this: a man crosses the street in rain, stepping gently, looking 2 times north and south, because his son is asleep on his shoulder. Naomi begins to paint the picture of an invested compassion as his child. And he will do anything to protect it, even walking down the street, making sure that it does not get wet, the child does not experience anything that's unpleasant. No car must splash him, no car drive too near his shadow. Every one of us connects with this word picture, because every one of us, I cannot imagine if we have not, have had either our own child or somebody else's child fall asleep on our shoulder while we're trying to go someplace. That's an amazing place to be. Same kind of amazement that comes when my grandchild finds that the magic box didn't form in the basis that he was expecting it to, and he might have been even responsible for it. I can't tell you how much that hurt me. And I fixed it as soon as I could. This man carries the world's most sensitive cargo, but he's not marked. Every one of us can understand that sensitive cargo that we carry. And then, Nye walks us to the edge of the first principle of being a Unitarian Universalist. She writes, we are not going to be able to live in this world if we're not willing to do what he's doing with one another. If we can't carry each other the same way this father carries this child, we will not be able to live in this world. And that's the entrance into who we are as a people. Compassion, caring, depth of understanding, empathy, Those kinds of things that take us so that when we're able to see it and hold it close to our own souls, close to our own spirits, then we're able to stand in the presence of either someone well-known or a stranger. And I guarantee you, if these things have been nurtured in your own life, you will be a serious delight to someone that you're speaking to. It'll come perhaps not only in the words that you choose, but the way that you choose them. The way that you hold yourself, the way that you carry your own body when you're in the presence of someone like this. Because that's where the difference comes in this world. We are not going to be able to live in this world if we're not willing to do what he's doing with one another. Each of us has an infinite capacity for happiness. The foundation for deep kindness is found in the deep loss and sorrow that comes with simply being alive. And you and I will discover that this kindness is what we've always been looking for when it raises its head from the crowd and says, this is me that you're looking for. That's who you want. And lastly, we are each capable of invested compassion and the ability to carry one another, both a stranger and our own child, in a way that makes a difference in their lives. And when we weave these three sisters together into our own spirit, you will, I will, be an unexpected delight to the stranger and to the person of your own household, and the experience that you will have for your own life. And I hope that Naomi Nye can speak to your spirit in the way that might take you into a deeper place for a deeper delight in your own life. Thank you for listening. Let's go be a delight.
And thank you, Charlie, for your dissection and delightful rendition of this beautiful poem by Naomi Nye. And I'd like to thank Blake and Piper and Courtney and Janine and Kate and the Kaufman family for joining us here this morning. And now our closing words from Charlie.
Thank you, Kim. I do want to encourage those of you who would like to stay for the talk back. It might be really interesting to hear how we are all responding to Naomi Nye's words. Those of you who are guests and visitors, you can just hang around. We'll be back together again in about 15 minutes and start that discussion. But I'm persuaded that when you and I can take happiness and kindness and compassion deep into our souls, it produces a delight in our world that reflects who you are. Amen? Amen. Thank you.
Please join me in extinguishing the chalice.
And maybe stand together, please.
While we extinguish this flame, we still carry in our hearts the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of commitment until we are together again.
That's what I'll suggest.
I think